Hi, and welcome to Essential Chiro Care's Yoga for Back Pain. My name is Sara Perez, and I'll be guiding you through this. First, I want you to go ahead and sit in a comfortable position, either cross-legged or feet out in front, whatever's comfortable for you. If you're having issues with the low back and the hips and this is not comfortable, you can always sit on a pillow. So starting with the legs crossed, place the hands onto the knees, roll the shoulders back, and close the eyes. Let's start with 3 deep breaths, in through the nose, out through the nose. Moving into tabletop. So coming onto our hands and knees, just starting to get our body prepared for movement, warming up a little bit. Bringing the wrists right underneath the shoulders, knees right underneath the hips. Before we start to move, we're going to think about our spinal alignment, working on the back. So the belly button pulled in nice and tight. I want you to think about the top or the crown of the head moving towards whatever's in front of you, and the tailbone moving behind you. So the top of your head and your tailbone are moving in 2 separate directions. Nice, long back. Taking the shoulders and sliding them down towards the hips. Starting to bring movement into the body. What we're going to do first is actually release the belly down towards the ground. The head gently lifts, and we hold. Taking the tailbone and turning it up towards the ceiling. Next movement, we're going to tuck the chin into the chest, push the spine up to the ceiling, tuck the tailbone underneath. See if you can look at your belly button. Good, moving a little bit deeper. Pressing the belly down, lifting the head, looking forward, and rounding. Bringing our breath into the movement, we're going to inhale as we lift, and exhale as we round. Moving through cat-cow between 5 and 10 times, that's 5 or 10 breaths, until we feel that the spine is starting to warm up a little bit. You're going to feel some heat in the body. And when you're done, returning to that neutral spine. Nice flat back. From here, we're going to go into a restorative posture. So I'm going to bring my toes together. I'm going to shift my hips back a little bit. Reach my arms out in front and slowly bring my head down to the ground. Now again, if you're having issues with, say, the knees or the hips, you can put a pillow underneath your hips. You can put a pillow underneath the belly. Or if you just can't quite get your head to the ground, you can double up the fists and rest your forehead onto the fist. Now this being a restorative posture, you can stay here for as long as you want, a couple breaths, a few minutes, and then move back into the workout. Coming back into tabletop, realigning the spine and preparing for down dog. Down dog's probably one of the most common yoga postures that you'll see. Tucking the toes into the mat, belly button's pulled in nice and tight. We're going to lift the hips. Now, in the beginning, you might not be able to get the hips up as high or straighten the legs and drop the heels down. So I'm going to go through the first modification with you. My knees are bent, my heels are slightly lifted. My belly button's pulled into my spine, and I'm going to gently press back into my shoulders and release my head between my arms. You want to make sure that there's no tightness or tension, so you can shake out the head, let the neck relax. When you get into this position, you can gently start to try to get those legs straight, try to work those heels down to the ground. Your arms may shake a little bit, but that's okay, we're strengthening them. You can bring the knees back down to the ground and shift back into child's pose. Good. Lifting back into tabletop again, working on our down dog. One more time, I'm going to show you a couple different modifications. Toes into the ground, we're going to lift the hips. If you have a little more flexibility in the hips, you can try working the heels down to the ground as close as you can, or moving one heel at a time into the mat. This is called walking the dog. Once you get those heels as close as you can, let's try working on straightening the spine. So you want to turn the tailbone slightly up towards the ceiling and let the belly press towards the thighs. Again, relaxing the head, neck, and shoulders, using that shoulder strength and flexibility. You may be a little tight through the shoulders, so you may not get as flat, but you can work on that. Dropping back to tabletop and shifting back to child's pose. If you feel your arms are really tight, you can always take and rest the hands down by the sides and see if you can let your shoulders roll forward. Coming back into tabletop. Last time for down dog before we move into our vinyasa. We're going to tuck the toes into the ground, lift the hips again, and if you have a little more flexibility, go ahead and rest those heels down and work on pushing that tailbone back behind you. If you're working on just a down dog, you can hold this for 5 to 10 breaths, or you can just hold it for 1 breath and return back.